Images of military vehicles transporting the bodies of coronavirus victims in Italy have shocked the world. Does the COVID-19 pandemic change the way we deal with death? In the city of Bergamo in northern Italy, military vehicles have been on the road for death notices on a billboard line an empty street in Alzano Lombardo, near Bergamo because people cannot visit one and friends and relatives cannot gather in person to share memories of the deceased. No comforting embrace can take place and there is no funeral ceremony to participate in. The bereaved must, it seems, find support from within themselves, and with phone and video calls community members often learn of losses through obituaries in newspapers. On March 13, the local newspaper L'Eco di Bergamo published 10 full pages of obituaries. It seems that the virus determines not only our everyday lives, but even the rules by which we'll live life, or mourn. The French historian Philippe Ariès demonstrated that the relationship between Western man and death changed dramatically in the 19th century. Until then, death had been a familiar companion for millennia, an accepted part of life. But modern man, according to Ariès, has suppressed the idea of death, pushing it aside there are so many victims of the coronavirus, there is no other way to transport corpses to the crematorium. In our achievement-oriented society, death is not planned for, it is considered a disruption that is sought best managed rationally. Read more. Coronavirus, German phone helpline set upper limits today. When people die, they are rarely surrounded by family and friends and are instead removed from them. In parts of southern Europe, the situation is still somewhat different, particularly in places where different generations of family members still live together under one roof, putting the circle of life into focus. Most of the time, however, what Ariès described in 1978 is completely true. Death has grown only into us and disappeared from everyday life. We experience it primarily as a cultural product, removed from reality. When people die on stages, movies and television, often in spectacular manners and with lots of blood. Death has degenerated into an art form, incessantly reproducing its own suppression. Back to life with the coronavirus, the situation is no different. In Lombardy, the dead must be taken to the crematorium in military vehicles. There's no doubt, the convoys have made death visible, as if it had decided to reclaim its place in the midst of life, impossible to ignore. The disturbing pictures of the convoys filled with the deceased have been gone around the world and read more. Coronavirus, we can still laugh. In large parts of the world, public life is currently at a stand, as is consumption and production, as society has struggled to contain the epidemic. Despite the huge cost, mankind has focused on human dignity. That is perhaps a small consolation for all this world's relatives, friends or neighbors nonetheless had to leave this world. DW's editors send out a selection of the day's hard news and quality feature journalism. Sign up for here. Grieving is an art, in 2 cents off the word. An exhibition in the German city Hamburg show artists depict loss and change. June 2, 2020, medics and undertakers are overwhelmed due to COVID-19. Northern Italy is seeing a dramatic increase in deaths, which the crematorium is unable to deal with. Italy has recorded a record number of deaths from the coronavirus outbreak. Germany has more than 20,000 cases as states tighten restrictions. Follow DW for the latest. Deaths from the coronavirus across Spain have surged 30 in the past 24 hours. Italy plans to extend its nationwide lockdown, as India urges its nearly 1.4 billion people to stay inside. Follow DW for the latest. The grim message: in corona times, people deal without their loved ones at their side. The virus does not care about dignity in death, nor about grief of relatives, and Bergamo has more infected people than any other province in the country. Last week alone, over 300 people died there, according to local authorities. Most passed away in a hospital room without a relative or friend to hold their hand or share their fear. Due to the danger of infection, visitors are not allowed in the hospitals, and many family members are in quarantine themselves. The virus makes the rules. Corona has its own playbook. One is that death caused by the virus cannot be dealt with as a matter of everyday life. And there is that the bereaved must remain alone with their lost. Funerals are currently taking place in northern Italy with unprecedented speed and in the absence of mourners. Waiting lists are long, and by law people are still not allowed